morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bright Spots. I am so glad you are here. This is an interactive show, so we want to know that you're here. So if this is your first time, if you look below, there is a section for comments. Please post your comments below, and we'd love to have your questions for our guest, and we would love to talk about your comments as well. If you're returning, you know the drill. Put those comments and questions down below. Also, we'd love to know where you're tuning in from. We have guests that come from all over the world, and we have viewers that come from all over the world. And we love to see where you're tuning in from. And for tonight's show, if you could let us know how you heard about it as well, we'd love to know that as well. I hope you're having a great day. Here in the Ohio Valley, it was 60 degrees on February the 24th. I am absolutely ready for spring. I don't know about you all out there, but I love the snow for a short period of time. I'm always glad to see it go away and the warm weather come back. And I'm guessing there's a lot of you out there in the Ohio Valley that are feeling the same way. Now, if you're some of our Florida guests that tune in every week, we're a little jealous of the weather that you have, but ours will get here soon enough. Folks, tonight our guest comes to us from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She is originally from Australia, and I just learned that tonight. So I'd love to tell you a little bit about Linda Hayes Cooper. Linda Hayes Cooper is a trained clinical psychologist and early parenting therapist, helping new and expectant parents navigate the challenges of early parenting so they can have greater calm, joy, and compassionate, intimate connections. She is the founder of Calm Emotional Presence that advocates for parents and young children's mental health and emotional well-being from pregnancy through to 6 years of age. Linda has over 25 years of training and experience working with young families, incorporating her psychology, midwifery, baby whisperer, and breastfeeding consultancy and attachment expertise. She focuses on contemporary NLP and hypnotherapy for quick, effective result in changing negative thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. She is authoring an upcoming book, Footprints, a means of designing your own footprint, bringing awareness of the unconscious, intergenerational traumas and behaviors that affect our current emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Providing strategies that regulate emotions, mental well-being, cultivate healthier, intimate attachment connections for individuals and young families. Linda has been featured in the Sydney Morning Herald, Offspring Parenting Magazine, North Sydney Times, and Professor Angus Cameron's Pediatric Dentistry Manual, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th edition. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a Bright Spots welcome to Linda Hayes Cooper. Welcome, Linda.
Hi, Laurie. Wow, what a fabulous introduction. That's a lot to remember. And
well, you have a wonderful. It's a wonderful description of who you are, and no one has to remember it. They can find it on the Bright Spots website under your profile. So if they want to try to memorize it, they can go there to get it all.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Well, thank you for being here, and tell us a little bit about who you are and what drew you to this line of work.
Wow. Well, I think I'm still a daydreamer, the same as what I was when I was a little girl at school. I was shy, never really good at school, just really liked to chat to people and listen and just observe what was going on around me. And I never thought I would amount to anything really. And I stumbled across a doctor and a nurse in a practice that I was working in as a receptionist when I was going through year 11 and 12 in high school. And they encouraged me to go on to university. My dad really wanted me to do university as well, but I never thought that I was capable of doing that. However, I just went along with it, and I'm a bit of a follower, so I just sort of followed what people wanted me to do, really. And I remarkably finished my nursing degree, and then I was working in pediatrics one day, and a colleague of mine suggested that I apply for the midwifery course, which was the last hospital-trained midwifery course in Sydney, Australia. So I wasn't really interested in it. I thought, no, I really don't want to do that. But I applied to support her, and unfortunately, I went through, and there was only 30 people they interviewed out of 1,000, and 12 of us were accepted, and unfortunately she didn't make it. But I knew that I had to do this for her and everyone else who couldn't do it. So I went through the program, and I just fell in love with the newborn baby, pregnancy, mums and dads, just a whole new life that people were entering into, and just fell in love with babies that I sort of nursed off to sleep, many night duties, day after day, night after night. And I suppose that sort of was my key to opening up to the rest of my world in early parenting. From there, I just kept studying. Once I found my niche, there was no holding me back. And so parent-infant work has been all of my life, really. Especially when I wasn't able to have my own children. So I sort of took that on to, help others in the difficulties and the challenges that they come up against, and especially mental health. So that's where I came from, really.
So, Linda, obviously your target audience are pregnant women, young moms and dads. Is that all you work with, are young parents and children?
That's my specialty. But hey, I love working with anyone, and I would say over the years I've worked with every age and every presentation. Working from the mental health team, when we had severe and complex mental health conditions, addictions and drug and alcohol, those sorts of conditions, abuse, and everyday families, children having difficulty through school, teenagers, grief and loss, elderly people as well, dealing with adjustment to losing their work, I suppose, and their identity in many ways. So yeah, I'm sort of I like a challenge. So anyone who comes through the door is a great challenge for me, and I've got lots of tools in my toolbox that I would just like to gather what is going on for the person individually first, and work with them rather than have a set, particular program or course or way of teaching or introducing something new to someone or changing their behaviours. I want to work with them in order for them to change what's going on for them and know who they are and how they can evolve and help them do that.
So in the book, you are writing the Footprints book. So tell us what you mean by designing a new footprint.
Yeah, I sort of stumbled upon that really because I started writing my outline of my chapters, and I realized I'm talking about cases that I had experienced in my practice and over the years, and I realized that a lot of the work that I was doing was helping parents and infants with the difficulties that they were experiencing with mental health and emotional and behavioural conditions. And I realised that this area that we focus on, the early parenting, actually is so primal to what we carry throughout the rest of our life. And attachment and early relationships has so much importance. However, we also know that past past traumas that we've had earlier in our lives or throughout our lives. It might be car accidents, broken bones, it could be bullied, just being shy and not being able to talk to people, or fear of the authority figures. It could be anything, struggles at work. But the increased levels of stress that we experience is toxic to us, and it becomes part of who we are, and it's entrenched in our genetics. So it gets passed on through our ovaries, through the egg, through the sperm, through to the baby. And then whatever the mother is experiencing or the father's experiencing, and that just passes on. And then we're helping, later in life, usually when someone pops up with, a particular condition, a mental health concern. So I realized that a lot of the work I like to do is preventative. And why not start right from the very beginning, pregnancy, early pregnancy, and early parenting, at highlighting, what are people's struggles? What are your challenges? What can we put in place to help decrease the stress, the anxiety, the worry, or maybe the OCD or the PTSD or the fear or the phobia, whatever it may be. So that's where I decided that, this is really about our footprint, what's imprinted in us, and we walk this footprint for the rest of our life unless we choose to do something about it. So what I want to bring to the world is, through my book, but also through many groups that I'll be doing on Facebook, is how to help people design their own footprint so that they can live happier, better connected with their attachment relationships, with less stress. So we're not activated in the fight, flight, freeze majority of our day, especially now with COVID. So that's where it all came from.
Oh, that's beautiful. I just think that's wonderful. I think often we don't realize how much our past plays into our future. I think we all grow up thinking we're going to do things different than our parents did them. We're going to, have a better life. We're going to do things better or different. So tell us about those past learned patterns and strategies that parents may have that may need changed or adjusted during pregnancy and with young children, and the why behind that.
Yes. I come from an attachment point of view. And the attachment that I follow is from Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth. However, one of the students that she had two main students, Mary Main and Patricia Crittenden. And Patricia Crittenden is one of the researchers and students that followed through with Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, who developed the attachment models, the ABC. And with her attachment model, we focus on that our attachment to our caregivers is about safety and protection, so that we can live and procreate and produce more of ourselves to survive. So it is all about survival. And when we're going through the pregnancy, we come up with lots of fears or phobias or worries about our children, especially after they're born as well. And that can increase our stress levels and anxiety and depression. However, when we're in those states, it takes us away from the connection that we have with the baby in pregnancy, and also with the new baby or the toddler, especially the toddler who's the 2-year-old, having the normal developmental tantrums that can be overwhelming and challenging for everyone. So when we're taken away from being in our calm, emotional, connected states, it can cause a lot of difficulties in our early relationships. And we have these patterns as parents and adults. We have patterns that we have taken from our own childhood through to our new parenting. And even when we say, I don't want to be like my mum, or I really want to do what dad did to me, parents aren't to blame for who you are and how you are. They did the best that they knew at the time. We know more now, so we can do more. We can take more responsibility for making a difference in our own lives and our children's lives. So very much it is so important to identify what is your pattern of parenting. Are you more unresponsive, sort of laissez-faire, or are you more controlling? And it doesn't matter how you are. You are how you are because it's your survival technique. However, for the infant will learn a strategy in order to manage what the feelings and the comfort or discomfort that they're getting from their parents. So if the parent is not as attuned sensitively to what the needs are of their infant or toddler at a particular age, then that can put extra stress on the infant. And we don't really see it. I can see it because I'm trained in it, but we don't really see it in the big wide world. We just sort of laugh it off and dismiss it because we don't want to go where the negative is, negative tears or sadness or anger. We sort of dismiss it. We express it, but then we dismiss it. And when our infants express it, we don't want to know about it a lot of the time. Or we try and shut them down rather than acknowledging that they need to be heard, they need to be felt, they need to be seen and valued for who they are and be known as who they are because they have their own little characteristics. But we can manage by developing some strategies like, say in the womb, when the baby's in the pregnancy, it's so important that the mum has a more calm, relaxed response, not all of the time, but it's sometimes throughout the day where she can just sit and connect with her baby, hands on the womb, and just talk gently to her baby. Even sing. We know that singing, mother's voice, dad's voice, and the singing is so powerful. The babies connect with this. They don't connect to Mozart's music or any classical music that was presented, back in the 90s. That has been debunked. So that we know that babies actually are connected and they're connecting through the pregnancy. So having some strategies on board on, what is your pattern? How do you talk to your infant? What's the look that you give? Because they pick up on body language, not just, they're not understanding what you're saying, but they're picking up the tone. And that's valuable for everyone to to get an idea of who their baby is and how they can connect.
Okay, so there we are. So one of the things that you specialize is hypnotherapy. When is it appropriate? When do you use that? And for folks who might be a little leery about hypnosis, how do you make them understand the benefits of hypnosis?
Yeah. I understand the leeriness that comes about with hypnotherapy because it really needs to be called something else. I think it's got a bit of a stigma of being, someone's going to have power over me and make me turn into a chicken or, something that, you have that sense of loss of control when in fact it's not about that. What hypnotherapy does is it helps you get into a very relaxed state. So it changes the brain waves into a calmer state, which is very much like when you're getting into bed at night and you feel relaxed and you're about to go off to sleep and you just calm. And sometimes in hypnotherapy, we do actually fall asleep as well. And that's not a bad thing because what we're actually doing is with hypnotherapy is we're talking to the subconscious mind and you can still hear it. You're still alert. And I can ask you to do things as in, I can give you instructions, open your eyes and close your eyes, and you can do it. Or I can ask you to try and open your eyes, but they're so heavy you can't open them. And it's just me giving instructions. But because you're in such a relaxed state, the subconscious takes over and will just listen to what I'm saying and will take on board. So if we've got, say, someone who's having difficulty sleeping because they're so anxious, and this is very common with mums as well, not only is the baby keeping you awake naturally, of course, but just the worries that parents have can consume them at night when they're trying to get into bed. They're finally relaxed, free of all the chores and everything that they were doing throughout the day, and then they just become overwhelmed with their mind taking over and the monkey mind chatter. So we can work on the anxiety by talking to the subconscious mind when you're in a very relaxed state. So you can sit up doing it. You don't have to lie down. Just as long as the neck's supported. And, having that for any condition, whether it's, fears, phobias, OCD, PTSD, anxiety, depression, sleeping problems. There's type 1 sleep, getting off to sleep, but also type 2 sleep, which is the insomnia, waking up throughout the night. And even confidence, to give yourself a sense of satisfaction in what you do, loving yourself and feeling confident about yourself, maybe reducing the amount of sugar that you have in your diet or changing, those habits that you want to remove, especially in pregnancy or early parenting. So it's something that I don't bring in straight away unless my clients ask for it. I do start with getting an idea of who they are, what the issue is, what are some of the antecedents of what started this or what happened just before the problem occurred, how long it's been going on for. So getting a really good history and even a family genogram is very important because we can see patterns from great-grandparents even coming down into our early parenting. So we can sort of we can get an idea of what's been going on and help them understand. Sometimes just getting an awareness of that is enough.
Wow, that's really incredible. I know very little about what you do, but it sounds like you've got the ability to help so many people that need help. Folks, if you're just tuning in, our guest this evening is Linda Hayes Cooper. She is a clinical psychologist specializing in early parenting therapy. And we're going to share her website now so that you can take a look at that. So Linda's website, we'll be scrolling across the bottom here. It's lindacep.com. And as you can see, it's very calming looking at it. That sunset is just beautiful. And then there's information about Linda. And these are the areas that Linda specializes in. So you can see some of those areas. And I'll be honest, Linda, my favorite part of your website, I'm going to go back up here, is the Meet Linda page. I just really think this is so cool. You have a mission statement, which is beautiful.
Thank you.
And this getting to know me, the 5 things I love to see, the 4 things I love to feel, the 3 things I love to hear, the 2 things I love to smell, and the 1 thing I love to taste. I just think that what an incredible way to get a sense of who you are, kind of a sense of what makes you tick. I just think that is just wonderful. And I know you mentioned before that the website is not finished yet. You're still building that. And you also mentioned that you have some group programs that you plan to do on Facebook. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah. I just need to get my breath, actually. You just brought tears to my eyes when you went to the 5 senses. The 5 senses is something that I was taught. Oh, my goodness. I had a marriage breakup when I was 30, and I was taught that by a psychologist, and I've used it every day, and I use it with my clients, and I just love it. I get out into nature and I use it when I'm out in nature, and it's just so grounding. It's beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. It's just so powerful.
I truly do love it. I may steal it.
Go for it. You're welcome. So yeah, the mini groups that I'll be starting on Facebook is a way of people coming in, rather than putting up a webinar that might go for extended periods of time, and it takes a lot of time to put together, and it's not really the webinars are not so unique to individuals. They tend to be sort of that view of one fits all, which is not what I'm about. So what I'd like to put forward is some mini groups on Facebook. So you can join like a mini group that I have together that might go for a month, or it might go for 3 months, or it might go for 6 months. But after the period of time of the mini group, there will be information delivered that we can work on. I get to know you, and you get to know some of the tools that we use as well. And you'll be able to meet up with me once a week, and we have a Q&A to talk about how things went over the last week. And if there's any techniques or anything that you might need to tweak, because I'm not talking about changing, major changes in people's lives, because you are who you are. A lot of the time it's just tweaking something so tiny. So it's about just tapping in every week with the information that's being given to you on the parenting and attachment work, or anxiety management, depression, whatever it might be. And then once the group finishes, we close up the group, and then I open another group that might be another topic. And some people might join that who've already been in the previous group, or they may not. That's completely okay. But knowing that you're on my email list means that you will be getting some free information from me forever, because you'll be part of my life then. And we can have further access from then on.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. We do have one comment. Micah, this is my daughter. She says, your voice is so calming. I can easily imagine falling asleep during a hypnotherapy session. And that picture is her and our beautiful baby Beverly.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. And oh, what a beautiful photograph, the two of you. And is Beverly touching her? Beverly holding her?
Mm-hmm. Well, that was newborn. She's actually, in that picture, she's wearing the same outfit that I brought Micah home from the hospital in. We had saved it, and she's named after my mother-in-law, so her great-grandmother, and she bought the outfit for Micah. So then we wore it on Beverly after she came home from the hospital.
Oh, what a lovely tradition. That's beautiful. That's better than wedding dresses.
Yeah, right? Well, Micah is, she's all about tradition. She actually wore my wedding dress when she got married, and she got married on our 35th wedding anniversary. So
very sentimental.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe Beverly will wear my dress too.
Yes. Yes. Well, that sounds fabulous. Well, thank you, Micah. I really appreciate that. I do get those comments that I'm very calming with my voice. Yeah. But I plan not to put people to sleep. I try not to.
So I'm going to ask a question totally off topic here, only because you worked so much with newborns in Australia. Mm-hmm. And I know that since you've been in the United States and trying to build your business there in Philadelphia, have you noticed a difference? Here in our area, there is a large problem with babies that are addicted when they are born. And do your services, can you help with those babies? And though, I mean, I'm guessing that you probably can, but have you worked in that space at all?
Yeah, I have. Sorry, Laurie, I must mention that I'm not actually in Philadelphia. I'm in Lehigh Valley.
That's right. You're
So
in
I apologize if I gave you any indication.
I keep saying Philadelphia, but it's Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I have actually worked in, I've worked in neonatal intensive care as a follow-up clinical psychologist, and that's with babies who were born extremely premature. And what we find with mums who are under a lot of stress and who have drug and alcohol addictions and even abuse and severe mental health, or even just anxiety that is just so overwhelming, they tend to have more premature infants, and we can see those addictions in those infants when they're born through their behaviours. So I have worked with them, and I've also worked on the mental health team as a perinatal infant mental health clinician. So mums who came through the mental health team who were having difficulty in their pregnancy or postpartum period up to 2 years of age with their babies, with their addictions or significant mental health problems, it was a huge issue. And what tends to happen is from the pregnancy, we've already got a disruption in the attachment, because when we're taken away from being present in the pregnancy to supporting the baby in the womb and eliminating the toxins, we know, we're encouraged not to eat foods that are from delis, be careful of seafood, always have food that's fresh and cooked preferably. So there's, and not to drink alcohol. So we have all these toxins that we know that are harmful to babies. So there's a toxin, obviously, with the drug addiction. And even stresses like significant mental health causes problems with the baby's attachment and growth as well, because parents go into fight and flight when they're in their drug use or abuse or mental health. So that's taken away from, all the blood goes to their own body for fight, flight, and caring for themselves. So we go into the sympathetic nervous system takes over with the fight, flight, and the blood supply is decreased to the placenta, as well as all other organs, because we've got to keep ourselves alive. So that's why we end up with problems with babies being born premature quite often. But they have attachment issues from then on. So postpartum, definitely in neonatal intensive care, looking at some sensitivity and attunement from mothers and dads towards the infant. So even in pregnancy, if they've got some time to talk or sing to their babies, even just have a name for them and say hello and goodbye. I'll give you a little story that I just heard recently of a father who was responding to his mother when she was pregnant, was touching the womb every evening after dinner, touching the abdomen, I should say, and calling the little baby my little cherub. And he would say, "Oh, my little cherub, we just had this for dinner, and the weather is like this today, and this is what we had to attend to, and we're about to go to bed. So I just wanted to, tell you that little story. Good night, my little cherub." And after the baby was born, he came over to the mother and the baby, and he said, "Hi, my little cherub." And the baby literally instantly turned around and looked towards the sound to his dad and smiled.
Oh.
And this is a true story. Babies can smile from birth. They just need the right environment. Yeah. So we can continue doing that, whether it's a baby who is challenged or not. We can continue those connections right through the early parenting period as well, with more sensitivity and attunement. So mums do need a little bit more scaffolding and a little bit of sort of a safety net to help them when they've had some significant adversities themselves, some drug use, so that we can build these relationships that will hopefully prevent their infants from going down the same path.
Well, Linda, is there anything that you haven't shared that you intended to share this evening with our listeners?
Wow. I could talk all night on this subject, so I don't think I should share.
That's wonderful.
But you've covered so much. You've asked some fabulous questions, given me a great opportunity to share what I love to do.
So the best way for people to connect with you is through your website.
Yeah, website where my email address is, and connect through email or Facebook. The Facebook page that I have just started and is still being developed, but you might be able to find it, is called Designer Footprint under my name. So you can also contact there and like the page.
Okay, so there you have it, folks. Design a Footprint with Linda Hayes Cooper, and that's on Facebook. And you can also visit lindacep.com for more information. Linda, thank you so much for joining me this evening in the Bright Spot studio. It has been quite a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure to be here too. I just loved it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Come back anytime.
Thank you. And I wish everyone the best out there with their mums and their babies and dads. Take care.
Well, folks, that concludes another episode of Bright Spots, but there's more to come. We have a special Thursday episode this week with Kim Riley. Kim Riley will be joining us tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock right here on Bright Spots. I hope you'll come back and join us. We'll see you soon. And remember, keep shining that light.